one of my subscribers asked me, "Bro, what are we supposed to play until the new Ghost Recon comes out?" And you know what? That's probably the best question I've gotten in a while. Because while people keep arguing about what the new Ghost Recon should be, first person, third person, a Wildlands remaster, or something completely new, the question, what do we actually play right now, is still open. Let me say this first. This video is for people who have tastes similar to mine. I really like cinematic tactical games like Ghost Recon Wildlands, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and Rainbow Six Siege. But games like Call of Duty or Battlefield, even though they are super popular, never really clicked for me. Maybe that's why I used to think something was wrong with me, until I first launched Wildlands. And I realized something. Finding a game with that same feeling is actually not easy at all. It was good in its own way, but it was a different feeling. Yeah, I still sometimes jump into it online because I already finished the story, but it's not the same anymore. That's why for the past few years, I keep finding myself looking for a replacement for Wildlands. And every time I think, there's no way that after so many years, nobody managed to recreate this formula. So, I went through dozens of games trying to find that Wildlands vibe. And today, I'm gonna show you the ones that got closest and the ones that completely disappointed me. Let's start with Rainbow Six Siege. Right now, I play Siege a lot, and for some reason, it always reminds me of Wildlands, especially on Favela. Yeah, these games are completely different, but the longer I play, the more I notice something strange. There's a reason why I still come back to Siege. Actually, there are a few. First, it just has insane vibes on its own. Second, no other game gives me this many ways to play the same situation. Operators, gadgets, routes, floors, strategies, traps, ways to trick the enemy, break defenses, or force mistakes. And I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't found any other game that gives this same level of freedom inside tactical gameplay. But the most important thing, the characters. Ubisoft, in most of their games, always knew how to make characters memorable. Their stories, relationships, personalities.
Honey, I'm home.
And also, it's an online game. You're not limited by AI. Every match is new people, new situations, and new decisions. And this is exactly where we smoothly move into Ready or Not. Because Ready or Not is basically the opposite of Siege. If Siege is a tactical sandbox, then Ready or Not is a hyper-realistic special operation with no cinematic style or glamour. Here, special forces feel like a job, sometimes even painfully routine. Protocols, rules of engagement, punishments for mistakes, constant responsibility for every action. And that's where its strength is. But this is also where the main problem starts, the limitations. First, first-person view. Yeah, there are mods, but honestly, they don't really fix it properly. Same problem as first person in Ghost Recon. The game just wasn't built for it. Then, the AI, the map design, and even though it's a great LARP-style game, basically role-play focused, it doesn't really give you that sense of big adventure or strong story. That's why I'm pretty sure the new Ghost Recon will try to take realism from this genre, but not its corridor design. Because for Ghost Recon, being linear would literally mean killing the franchise. And the developers definitely understand that. But weapon detail, flashlight mechanics, deeper tactical interactions, leaning around corners, all those small things. For me, that's a must. And I also really hope the new Ghost Recon takes something from Rainbow Six Siege, because there's a lot to learn there too. At least things like ropes and grappling hooks. However, if you're missing deep customization in tactical games more than anything else, then you should look at Ground Branch. This is a game for people who enjoy gear customization. If you care about where every pouch is placed and what angle your scope is at, this one is for you. But the same question comes up. Where is the world you actually want to save? The adventure? That Wildlands-type journey? That's why I see Ground Branch more as a supplement, not a full replacement for Ghost Recon, especially since it's first-person only. Next, we have Arma Reforger. And this one is more interesting, because even with all its complexity and realism, the main thing is still there, freedom. Huge mod support, massive maps, the feeling that you're actually inside a real military conflict. And honestly, playing a sniper in modded Arma sometimes feels more realistic than even Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2. Not that Contracts 2 is bad, it's actually solid, but I just wouldn't include it here. Also, I would definitely recommend MUDANG, a project many people already call the Korean Ghost Recon killer.
You might try to kill me.
I'm not gonna kill you.
I said you'd try.
But there's a problem. Originally, the devs planned to release it on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. But after a series of financial issues, the studio ran into a serious crisis. So right now, I wouldn't really count on this project. And finally, Gray Zone Warfare. Probably the most obvious game for Ghost Recon fans. But here's the warning. It needs a very strong modern PC. If your setup already struggles with Wildlands or Breakpoint, this one will be rough. But Gray Zone right now feels like the direction Ghost Recon could actually move into. Big open world, danger, tactical gameplay, slow pace, and constant feeling that one mistake can cost you all your gear. That's why Gray Zone Warfare is one of the most interesting games right now, while waiting for the new Ghost Recon. But my main conclusion is something else. While I was making this video, I realized one uncomfortable thing. I still haven't found a real replacement for Wildlands, and maybe it simply doesn't exist yet, because every game takes just one part of the Ghost Recon formula, but none of them has managed to put it all together. So now I actually want to hear from you. What are you playing right now while waiting for the new Ghost Recon? And has any game ever managed to replace Wildlands for you, even for a short time? This was M.A.N.G.O. See you in the next videos.
They're checking the air defenses. Guys at the launcher. Give the word and we blow. Fire!
We'll go.